Mic check, life check. With Haley Jensen.
Welcome back to another episode. This week we are covering Dancing with the Stars Week 6 Wicked Night. I was so excited when they first announced this week. I think we all were, but I've always been a Wicked junkie. I think the first time I saw it on Broadway was when I was 7, which honestly, I remember the ambiance and like things were green. Like I remembered the concept of the show, but not like everything. And so since then, re-seeing the movie, like here's the thing. I wish I was that person that could hop on a flight every year and go see musicals, but I don't have that kind of time or money. So when I was able to watch it in theaters with everyone else, I was very appreciative of the refresh and being able to see it through a different kind of lens, because the last time I saw it, I was 7. Although I have seen many clips throughout the years, bootlegs, etc., like most people. So I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. So when I was finding out that we would then see it in ballroom form, I was very excited. And oh my gosh, they blew it out of the water. From start to finish, the entire show was, I would say, one of, if not the best Dancing with the Stars week's performances shows. Incredible. I can't say enough wonderful things about it. So, first off, the opening number. I must have watched the opening number probably 15 times at least, which maybe that's not a lot for most people, but for me, that's a lot. Just absolute theatricality, performance value, energy, just little snippets and tidbits of, wow, I didn't see that the first time. Just absolutely remarkable. The rewatchability is insane. So, my thoughts. 1, obviously the costuming was insane. It was so incredible. The fact that every single pro performer had their own specific twist on the Emerald City design, and it worked for them, and it was so intricate and beautiful. Like, obviously they have the budget for it, and the fact that these costumes will probably be only worn once. I know they recycle with a lot of costumes throughout the years for dances and whatnot, but for just giant group numbers like this, the chances of the costumes, I think, to be worn again is pretty low, but you never know. Regardless, very impressive. The set pieces and props, they were mentioned throughout the entire evening of the show that they are from the actual set of Wicked. Absolutely so cool. So fun to see them be used again and reworked into the show. The cart, I actually spotted that even before they kind of made the announcement that the set pieces and props were used from the show. I immediately identified it. I was like, that is the cart from the movie. That, what's his name? Jackson, one of the troupe dancers, was pushing biking. So cool. And the wands that Julianne Hough and Alfonso were holding. So I'm not super sure with the one that Alfonso was holding. It was more of like the dark alphabet looking thing, but I don't know. Does she have a wand? Does she ever get a wand? I'm not sure. Anyway, maybe I'm just like spitballing and she totally has a wand. But Glenda's wand is very identifiable, and Julianne Hough was waving that around. So that was super cool for one. Okay. Besides the set pieces, props, etc., the dancing. So obviously, everyone has always been a fan of the troupe members, which is Haley Bills, Anya Stevenson, Carter Williams, and Jackson Willard, which apparently Carter Williams probably grew up around the street. I remember seeing that he, I think, is the son or maybe the grandson of the JCW's burger place near me. So that's kind of fun. Anyway, JCW's Carter Williams. Fun fact. Anyway, found that out recently. But anyway, the dance break portion that Jackson does, where he, in the Defying Gravity, when they're just covering that little snippet in the opening part, where he is physically defying gravity with his body, just doing flip after flip, like, it's insane, the things that he is so talented. So that was cool. Props up, hats off to you, Jackson. And I literally wrote insane flips and defying gravity, literally. Okay, the one tiny little thing that I noticed, which I haven't heard anyone comment on, is there's a part in the opening scene where Val is dancing with his wife, Jenna, and Emma is dancing with, I don't remember who, I think maybe Brandon. I'm not sure, but maybe it's Pasha. I don't know. But there's this one part where Emma and Jenna turn and they like kind of do like a hand thing, gesturing towards each other, like, I've been changed for the better or something like that. Okay. And then Val turns into whoever he's the opposite with. So it's the two guys. And Val also does this hand thing, but then he realizes, he's like, wait, I think that was, and he like brings it down really quickly. And it's so funny because if you go back and watch it, you can just see it in his face. He's like, oh. Like, because he's just copying his wife because he believed that was what he was supposed to do as well. But it was definitely like the soft girl portion that he copied. Anyway, I thought it was funny. It was a very typical, just very human mistake. I just thought it was funny. Anyway, I laughed hard. Brittany doing the ballet portions that Carter was also a part of, and he does a fantastic turn combination. He's incredible. The spots alone, like I'm just like watching him spot, I'm just like, oh my gosh, those are so just precise and beautiful in itself. Anyway, But yes, Brit does the ballet portion, and I just give her hard props for that. That type of technique, it's just so deliberate, so specific, and so impressive. And love seeing it. It's so fun to see all of them in their little specialties outside of ballroom steps. Like, yeah, in some of the freestyle choreography or jazz, you'll see like little bits of it. But in a number like this, where they can really just throw anything into the number, super cool to see. Okay, then of course, because Derek Huff has to jump in as the Figaro, joins that part in the very opening sector of the Dancing Through Life kind of reenactment, which I did my own little reenactment on TikTok as well, but that's been kind of a trend I've been doing, so go check it out. The other thing that I absolutely loved was the use of the capes for the dance portion. It was capes / skirts that was so cool because it just drew such specific parallels to the movie, because a lot of the Shiz University students were wearing skirts, and so they'd use that for not just adding the color and flair to the dance, but it's physical skirts, and I thought that was just such a touch of genius. And of course, Julianne Hough and Alfonso joined in the choreography as well, which I have loved seeing it week to week. I think it's so impressive, especially because they're not just showing up to work to just host and stand there. They're taking part of it with the choreography, and I love that. Although Alfonso has always had a talent for dance, of course, winning the Mirror Ball with Whitney, but just the continuation of him dancing week to week is just, I absolutely love it. And as Alfonso said, the ballroom has been swankified, and it definitely was indeed swankified, as the one and only Christopher Scott, the actual choreographer from the Wicked movies, the one that choreographed the first and opening number. So 10 out of 10, good job, Christopher Scott, impeccable. You changed lives with that opening number. And as well, the guest host judge was John M. Chu, who is, of course, the director of the Wicked films. And I thought that was beyond impressive. Like, I guess things must be not busy where he can afford to take a night off. But it was so cool having him there, especially because with his own knowledge of, one, the second movie that's coming out soon, as well as the entire breakdown of the entire Wicked universe that has been filmed, as well as like the history and backstory of all the characters and what kind of moments and what they're feeling with each of the songs that the pros and their celebrity partners proceeded to dance throughout the evening. So cool to see kind of just him react and kind of put his own words on how the character was feeling in that moment. I just thought it just added to just the ambiance of the evening, and I loved it. He was fantastic. I know we said that last week about Kim, but John did his own way spectacularly. Okay, up first, Scott and Rylee. All right, if you're not ready for a spoiler alert, stop listening now. They get sent home. You should know this because it's been many days since it premiered. And yeah, I didn't predict it to happen, but after the performance, it made sense. But also, I think there is definitely something else in the air besides just voters. But with that being said, I think Dancing with the Stars is rigged. You cannot convince me that it is not rigged. Scott and Rylee went home, and just barely, I was looking around on Facebook events just for Halloween events to take my toddler to, and lo and behold, I see Pentatonics is set to perform nearby November 8th, and I'm like, that's soon. Well, ain't it lucky that Scott had to be kicked off the show in time for his performance dates to start up. Yeah, and we've seen this in the past too. I don't remember who it was, but I remember there was another celebrity too that like had to be somewhere or something. I don't know, and so just he or she circumstantially had been cut off like the previous, or kicked off Dancing with the Stars like the previous week. So, interesting. But alas, when it comes to the actual performance aspect, so first off, when Scott dances, and especially in this dance of The Wizard and I, he dances like Peter Pan. I don't know if it was the wearing of green. I don't know if it was the prancing around. He dances like Peter Pan, like from the Broadway shows, just very flirty and flouncy, and most usually often played by a girl. So it was very weird to watch him in this dance specifically, because I know in the past dance he's been able to either play himself or through a dedication, like, so it was a very weird character for him to play in general if he was supposed to be playing the wizard. But overall, it was just very flouncy and flittery, and there was 3 different times in the dance where he specifically does shimmer hands, and that's just worse to me than hairography, because with hairography, at least you're putting like your whole body and soul into it. With the little shimmer jazz hands, it just screams laziness or just lack of choreography, creativeness. I don't know. I just watched it. I was like, there's some more. There's shimmer jazz hands for a third time. I understand maybe once, but 3 times. As for a contemporary dance, I understand it's kind of rough with the trying to... Okay, real quick. Contemporary versus lyrical dances, right? Lyrical, you don't really find in the ballroom too much, but it can be applied to technically every kind of dance because you're dancing to the lyrics of the music, right? Contemporary is showing an emotion for the dance. So you're not necessarily literally dancing to what the song is saying, but invoking the emotion and kind of showing that with your body and whatnot. So maybe that's the circumstance for all the shimmer glitter hands, because the Wizard and I, it's so magical and mystical. I'm quoting Benson Boone. I don't know. It was something. Okay, so the notes that I wrote specifically, just based on the fact that this dance was contemporary, was that you have to be able to know and perform the steps so confidently on your own. But Scott, and he knows the steps, and he knows them how to put them in order of one after the other, but he doesn't know how to portray them as his own. It feels more of like, okay, I was told to do this, I have to do this, not as, okay, this is how I'm expressing myself, even though, yeah, Rylee choreographed it and he didn't. That's not what I'm getting at. It's like just being able to make each step there that he does his own. And something else that I've heard and seen a lot of people say, including Val's brother Max on his podcast, was that Rylee choreographed this a lot more for her than for Scott. And that's where kind of this talk and downfall of Rylee is that she's not it's coming off that she isn't a super great teacher when it comes to highlighting and showcasing her celebrity partners, because that's great that she's talented as a dancer herself. That can only get you so much when it comes to as a pair and being successful through the competition. Like, that's great. You yourself, you are a great dancer, but that's not the point of being a pro. And so obviously that's come to hurt her, especially with the success of Scott week to week. But once again, do I think there's a script? Pretty much, because Scott was supposed to be in Utah performing a couple weeks later, so it was time for him to be off the show. And yeah, I agree for once with Carrie Ann's comment that it did feel very just separate of Scott the person versus the wizard that he supposedly was portraying, because it kind of just took you on an emotional roller coaster in and out of like who's he's playing and what is he portraying, and in that it didn't feel very balanced. And the way Derek described it was that it felt like the dance, it needs to feel like a continuous thought rather than a bunch of separate little sentences, and that's kind of what it felt as Scott was just going from spot to move, and it just feels very janky and just not very just smooth and storytelling. And there is a couple of spots in the dance too where Rylee was just like, shake the fabric of her dance. And it just felt very flashy. That almost felt like choreography, where it's like, okay, more movement equals more intensity. And I don't know. I don't know if they would have done better with a different song. I don't think so. I think that Scott is good with like the sparkles and the pizzazz. And that's probably the best song that they could have gotten as The Wizard and I. So, I mean, it's unfortunate it was their last night. I don't think there is that much room for new improvement. So I think that they got as far as they did was impressive. But also Rylee has a huge fan base. So that, and yeah. So we'll see how that goes forward. It's been a little dramatic on the social media aspect of seeing everyone react and kind of put their opinion out there. So it hasn't been boring, to say the least. Okay, one other little note that I was dying, that I saw some TikToks. So Jan Ravnik, right after they danced, like he was like smiling and he looks at the camera and he's like, oh. He is so comedically just funny without trying to be whatsoever. Like, he's just so naturally hilarious, and I love every little instant that he gets caught on camera or something. It just adds to this little hilarious aspect of the show. All right, up next, Alex and Val. Love them so much. Their performance was a complete theater performance. When I first watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like watching a Broadway show. That's how specifically, like, performance-wise, they did true to the glitz and glamour of Glinda. And yeah, it was very impressive. And I remember watching it the very first time, and I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, that dance was so short. But then I rewatched it again the next day or so, and I'm like, okay, it's not that it was short, it just, the choreography and the performance aspect and just absolute emotion just draws you in, and it's like being on a roller coaster, right? It's so fun and it goes so quick because you just enjoyed it that much and you got sucked into it. I can't say the same for all the dancers, but for me, that's how it felt for that dance specifically. And oh my gosh, can we point out freaking Alex's double turn? Okay, I'm not saying it's not like hard to teach someone how to do a perfect double turn, but her posture and technique, so impressive. And even Derek commented on it, and he was like, I say that pas de bourrée into double turn, like whatever. And I 100% agree. It was impeccable. I think obviously she had dance training growing up, but it's waking back up because it's fantastic. Bruno made the comment that their performance was a perfect musical comedy, which I would agree. It definitely was. They have the absolute just banter that makes it a hilarious and very genuine performance. Like, you can't fake that kind of emotion. And that's an example, once again, where Scott and Rylee, it's like Scott, it's very forced, but for Val and Alex, it's very genuine and just so playful and just so enjoyable to watch. Also, side note, I thought Alex made a very adorable, cute Glinda. And it was funny because when she was doing her interview, I'm pretty sure she said Glinda or something, and then like Julianne Hough said Galindo, which obviously both are right, but it's just kind of funny like how different people view that character based on the two different names of who they kind of see that character as. So I thought that's just kind of a little fun thing for me that I noticed. All right, up next, Robert Irwin and Whitney Carson. Everyone from the second that the Wicked Night was announced was wanting Robert to do Dancing Through Life, which of course he did. So happy he lived out his Fiyero dreams and moments. And funnily enough, I just saw on TikTok that Jonathan Bailey, who plays actual Fiyero in the Wicked movies, sent him flowers, and he was just like jaw dropped, gasped in the rehearsal video footage of him getting the flowers. And I thought that was so cute. And that Robert did do Fiyero justice in the Dancing with the Stars routine. And they did fantastic. There was so many spots where something could have gone wrong. There was a lot of bookography, like sliding on books. And even Derek had made the comment, because he has done it himself. I don't know if in that opening number if he slid on a book, but he definitely slid on his heel, which those ballroom shoes must be like super like hard and slick where they can do that a lot, because they do that a lot. None of them actually like biff it. I've never worn ballroom shoes like that, especially not men's ones. But like the first week when Robert had done that in his first dance, and then Derek did it in the opening number of the Wicked mega mix, that just so smoothly. It's just so impressive to me, but maybe it's not that hard. So maybe one day I'll find out. But overall, the performance that Robert and Whitney did was incredible. I think Whitney also made a very beautiful Galinda. And yeah, just the incorporation of the troupe dancers as well, just falling in love with Fiyero, it just drug you into the movie. It felt so just cinematic as well. And just very similar to Alex and Val's as well, where you're just watching, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been sucked into the movie. And it's just so true to the material, and it's just like in a different font. And overall, all the work and research done was just so well done, and performance quality was just impeccable. And yeah, they all should have won 10s, but I won't go into the specifics of the numbers because they're always incorrect and inaccurate, that what they should have been. But anyway, overall, for my last thoughts for Robert and Whitney, I said beautiful choreography, perfect high energy performance, bookography was impressive. The performance again feels like Broadway. The notes I did talk about choreography, I didn't think it was like abundantly hard, but it was just more to the performance aspect of Broadway, I would say. So they didn't do like the hardest ballroom kind of steps put in the routine. It was just to be true to the Dancing Through Life choreography from the movie, I'd say. And I can respect that. I think it just puts people to be judged on different playing fields, and that's okay sometimes. Which brings me to my next point, Whitney and Mark. Theirs did not feel very Broadway. Maybe the first like 10 seconds when they're pantomiming slightly, when Whitney is trying to dote on Mark and whatever. But even so, once again, it is the Whitney Levitt show. It does not feel like Glinda. It feels like a hyperactive toddler on pixie stick candy, because the amount of just shimming and crazy eyes and wide teeth smile, it freaks me out a little bit. I try to approach her dances from a performance aspect, and I will give credit that their actual ballroom steps were a lot better, I would say, in dance quality rather than just shaking her butt. And it was more entertaining, I'd say, dance ballroom wise this week. Something that a lot of people were commenting is that they're just kind of running across the room and floor. I can see, and I'll defend Whitney and Mark on this one, I can see where people think that. But if you do genuinely watch it, it's a quick step. That's very typical. It's very different from what everyone else was doing, yes, because even at the beginning, Alex and Val and Whitney and Robert were all like on the upper platform of the ballroom, and they didn't really use the rest of the ballroom, but Whitney and Mark were running all over and everywhere. But once again, the camera work wasn't necessarily like super crazy this week, where it has been in the past for them specifically, but that also was because they were traveling around the ballroom quite a bit. But so like, I'll give them props that their dance was a little bit better to what I think that it should have been in the past. So I'll give them props for that. But once again, they were throwing out 10s for something that probably didn't deserve 10s. And I don't know. I'll never be a Whitney fan. She just performs like the world revolves around her. and that you should also think that. And that doesn't come off as confident. That comes off as cocky to me. So I've said it 1,000 times, so I won't get into it too much more. But yes, as for my notes I just wrote, doesn't feel like Broadway. It feels like a Whitney show, not a group performance where characters are to be portrayed for Wicked Night. Just everyone live and breathe and only think Whitney. The tacky facials make me uncomfortable. I still think it's way too early for 3 out of 4 judges to give 10s. Ooh, the drama with their giveaway. Okay, I added that because I wanted to touch base on that. So yes, they posted a giveaway. I think it was a couple days ago. And the giveaway was to post the best meme of Mark, of all the performance footage and rehearsal funny videos of him falling and making funny faces, whatever. People have made little screenshot clip memes of all of these moments. And so Whitney and Mark made a TikTok saying that whoever can post the best meme, that they'll get tickets to the Halloween night recording or something like that. Okay, so they posted that and they were going to announce it the next day for who the winner was, like at 5 p.m. or something. Lo and behold, hours before 5 p.m., the video gets deleted, disappears from the face of the internet of TikTok. And of course, when I first saw that they posted that video, I thought to myself, like, bribing for votes much? And obviously, it's not like they were literally, please vote for us, and in turn, you'll be entered in the giveaway. No, it was the slight sideways version of, oh, post your favorite meme, or I don't know. Anyway, regardless of what I saw, I was like, there's no way that this is, like, legal for the ABC network, for the Dancing with the Stars show. And lo and behold, we were correct, because it's gone, and they eventually put an apology video saying that, well, we got in trouble, we weren't supposed to do that, haha. So I've seen many subsequent videos being posted of people thinking that they definitely like kind of shot themselves in the foot, because when people do stuff like that and it's so clearly just being devious, I guess, with the whole voting process, it's gonna make people not want to vote for them. So I don't know how much it's going to negatively impact them, whether or not it will even matter, if they'll still have the same amount of votes, if they'll have more. I don't know. We'll come find out. But I kind of hope it hurts them. No offense, but kind of offense. Because you're not playing by the rules. Like, it's not even just being genuine to the competition. Like, come on. Anyway, that was very entertaining to me. And we'll see. I'm curious because I doubt Dancing with the Stars will say anything about it. But if they did, that would be so funny. I'd love to see it. Up next, Dylan Efron and Daniela. Oh my gosh, they just keep getting better and better. They performed the hardest song, Rumba, I think it was Rumba, and it's just so slow, and just having the ultimate emotion with a song like that is so hard, especially when everyone else has these crazy upbeat, just wicked, pun, routines, and they blew it out of the park. It was insane. And right when I am on the very verge of just talking and giving Dylan he tried his best this far. All right, it's time to have him go home. He just blows it out of the water even more. It's insane. The emotion and eye contact, the hip rolls, like all of it. He's getting so good. And people just want to make an excuse that he can't dance, but he just keeps proving us wrong. I love it. And it makes me laugh. Especially because freaking Daniela, I'm glad that she is so strong in her marriage, because I think I would have folded so quickly. They're just intense connection, and they just do so well on the dance floor. And like even John, the director judge, made the comment that their eyes were so connected, and that throughout the entire dance, and that just added to the intensity of it all. And it was just so impressive. I loved it. All right, up next, Andy and Emma. Oh my gosh, their reactions alone during the eliminations every time they get through kills me, because Andy has this cute little smile of like, I've accepted my fate. I'm happy. I love the experience. I'm ready to go home. And then they read it's not them. And he's just like, what? And I love it even more for Emma, because she's just continuously been paired with all these fuddy-duddies and older gentlemen folks that don't make it very far. And she's just getting through week after week. And I love it. Andy is seriously America's little sweetheart. And I don't want to say it. I hope they keep making it through. I understand the frustration for the pros with celebrities that are like, well, we were doing more dance steps or blah, 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 blah. But that's not still what the show is about, you know? Like, I don't want to come off as a double standard, because it's just like, obviously Whitney and Mark do well with the steps when they do the correct ballroom steps. They're great. But the difference is that Whitney's cocky and Andy's not. So Andy's just a little sweetheart, and he's happy to be there, and he's just so funny. And the amount of TikToks that I've seen actually from Andy and Emma the past like day or so, they are upping his game. They are working overtime. And it's even funnier because Andy's just like, I don't even know why I'm still here, man. So it's been beyond entertaining. So, okay. As for their actual dance, I wrote, I love the storytelling. Yes, the steps are insanely simple, and Emma does the majority of the work. And there was one TikTok creator that I saw that was saying like the amount of times they've put in like a little kid dance, the Mickey Mouse wave, 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 and they do that in the Annie's choreography. I love it. You know what? Can't go wrong. It's an oldie but a goodie. And then the judges' comments though that I was very impressed with. Bruno said he was on time, like he did not miss a step, and the only one thing was that there was a lower score, or let's see, a lower score from Derek, just by 1 point from from Derek Huff, just one less point than what Scott and Rylee got. So I was like, oh, which I would say goes to show about the performance quality and how he makes one feel when you watch him, because obviously, I mean, I honestly don't think Scott's performance wasn't all that much harder, to be honest. Maybe he moved around the stage a little bit more, but the fact that Andy made the audience feel something and Scott didn't. All right, up next, Elaine and Alan. So I will say, out of everyone, they got this like gimmicky part with Elaine going up on the lift at the very end so she could do her Elphaba flying off moment. But I will say someone had to do it, so I guess it took a bit of a chunk of time for me where I was like looking at the clock. I'm like, all right, she's going up, she's going up, she's up, she's dancing. The funny thing as well is with their dance is that Alan had to portray Elphaba as well, because he was dressed in like all black, but then she was Elphaba, but then she also, I guess, in a way would have been portraying Glinda with fighting off the dancers or whatever. That was the security of the tower, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so that was very interesting to me, but as well as in the fact that at the end, Elaine's waving her hands and controlling like magic Alan, but then Alan's doing the main dancing. So it's a tricky situation. It's just one of those nights, I guess, where it's not about obviously all the choreography, and it makes judging so complicated, I'd say, because they have to judge not just to that celebrity's own improvement, but what's allowed with the theatrical showing of what they got to do with their own category of, okay, she's got to fly on the lift, but she's fine to do that. So I don't know. I just rolled my eyes a bit, but that's just because I've seen it so many times, obviously the lift and whatever, but it was good for TV. So we'll give that. My specific notes, I said great for what it was. The age was showing a tiny bit. Obviously, that's a given. She is older, as Carrie-Anne will not let us forget. She's always getting so teary-eyed on the age factor, and I guess I love that, but it's kind of getting old. So, however, I will say with the lift, you could have something go wrong so badly with that. So it was impressive that it all actually worked out. But overall for Elaine, her health and with what she's doing is so impeccable. And I believe Derek had said something that he had spoke to her either as during rehearsals or something like that she's going some like through some health stuff. So props to her even more, because obviously it's one thing to be 54 and battling it out with all these other young bucks, but by the sounds of things, she's also suffering a little bit. So 10 out of 10 for the fact that she's killing it still week to week. And I hope she does make it Final Four. I think she puts on just such a great performance, and it's very impressive what she does do. Okay, up in this point, they had the troupe dance that did the wonderful do. Anyway, that was with Haley, Carter, and Anya. And they're so good. Like, obviously, I'm stating the obvious. They're so good. And I just can't wait to see what the future holds for all four of them, I should say, with Jackson included. And yeah, I'm very intrigued. And it's been a lot of conversation regarding Rylee being demoted to troupe. I would support it. I'm not trying to hurt feelings. I just think it would be beneficial. A lot of people have just been stating, and I agree, that she has a lot to learn, I would say, for being on troupe. I think she got thrown into it at such a young age. Like, she barely was out of high school. Like, she was in high school like weeks prior to getting the call, I think, to be on the show for her first season. And that's awesome. She took it as far as she did with Steven. I think that they got lucky. He's a hard worker, gymnast. Like, that's such an advantage in general. But I think that she needs a break. So I would love to see either Haley or Anya. I think Haley has the potential for sure. I just don't know enough or have seen enough from Anya. But yeah, I think it'd be incredible. And in its own, I don't know. The only thing is that we haven't seen choreography like Haley Bill's choreograph, I would say. I don't know. Because I don't know if she's choreographed anything. But maybe she has. I don't know. I'll be looking for that here on out. And I'll let you know. Anyway, I hope that they're pros soon, because they are just so impressive. Okay. Up next is Jen and Jan. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. When I watched this first through on the very first time, my husband had gotten home from the gym, and I was like, because he's asking like, oh, how's the show? Like, how's it going? And I was like, And the one thing I decided to show him was not a dance. It was the media package for Jen. I was like, you have to be kidding me. Like, she's like, do you think I'm a bad dancer? To Jan. And I'm like, who says that? That's the equivalent of going up to your significant other. Do you think I'm ugly? Of course he's not going to say, yeah, I think you're a bad dancer. What pick me girl energy are we choosing to run with here? Like, before I was giving you the benefit of the doubt, you know, like, it's cute to pull out the whole, oh, I'm postpartum thing on your last week because you're worried about not getting sympathy votes all of a sudden because things are getting serious. But like, come on. And like, I'm going to try to understand that if Jan is not a good pro, that's one thing. As well as don't say, oh, I need harder choreography, because freaking Derek pinned that so quickly. Because he, word for word, after the judging was like, it's not about harder choreography, it's about using the most of what you have. AKA, yeah, sorry, you're not a good dancer, at least not even trying to perfect the simple choreography that you're being given. And to an extent, one, yeah, that is a little offensive to say that to Jan, because it's like, okay, well, it's not about harder choreography, it's you. And here's the thing, I understand as well, there's a lot of people, and I have mentioned this before, where it's like, I don't know if Jan was prepared to be a pro as well. And even, once again, I think it was on the Max podcast with PETA as well, that they were making the comment is that he is not trained in ballroom. Maybe it was a different podcast, I'm not sure. But that he obviously could be trained in just general contemporary jazz, maybe even tap. I think I remember somebody saying that. And that's what he's good at. But as for ballroom, like, that's not what he's trained in, especially not for to teach it. So like, I think there could be multiple people at fault here based on the situation. But oh my gosh, stop with the pity party. It's just so dumb. What other celebrity's doing that? Not even freaking Elaine. She's like, yeah, I'm 54, but she's rocking with it. She's not using it as an excuse. Like, anyway, honestly, I hope they're gone next. They should have been gone last week. But so be it. They're back. Honestly, I think it was rigged and that they kept them for views so that they could use for the track numbers for the Taylor Swift songs, because if they were kicked out, then chances are that would not come off with as much pizzazz as it would have if they were still in the competition. So once again, rigged, in my opinion. But what do I know? I'm just a viewer. But I do live in Utah, so I'm by association close to some of them. I don't know. By geographical location, I'm close to some of them. I'm actually like 6 minutes down the road from the studio that they all went to. So, fun fact. Anyway, as for the actual dance, they dance to As Long As You're Mine. And yeah, the whole comment of Jen wanting harder choreographer thrown at her, such a joke. And yeah, Jan is giving her what she can deal with. But okay, and then her comment that she said she went to an all-white high school. Yeah, there's a lot of white people in Utah, but every single high school has multiple ethnic groups as well. Like, what? That was very laughable. The actual notes regarding her dancing, my notes that I had was that she doesn't keep you in the story. Her face changes when she hits the moves, and then it ruins the illusion completely. Like, she'll be like longingly looking, she's like, okay, I got that one. Okay, next. Like, her face just whips you out of the actual storytelling, and it's just such a fault. Anyway, as for, let's see. Yeah, I just wrote, nothing flows at all. She thinks she's such a baddie. Oh, well, nah, fam. Anyway, it was funny because at the very end she hits a pose, and that's why I wrote she thinks she's such a baddie. And I'm like, I'm glad that you finished the number successfully, but that's all I'm giving for you. So Derek's comment was just about that. It's about performing with what she's been given better, not that she needs harder choreography. So I was recapping that, and that she did. But then he covered what he was saying as well, because I think he was getting kind of booed by Carrie Ann a little bit at that time, which once again, rigged. I think it was a, shh, she can't go home, don't paint her as like this, as worse as she actually was kind of thing. But because then he said that she did do better in that dance, which I don't think is true at all. But I think that honestly her past dances were better. That one was just kind of, so. Up next, Danielle and Pasha. It was amazing. It was so good. It was the highest scores that they had gotten for them, all nines across the board. The one thing I did say that they did think that they needed to work on is Danielle needed to like breathe or like open her mouth a bit to invoke emotion or something, because her stone face was just glued shut and just unchanging, and it made the dance feel really awkward and stiff. So, which was kind of weird because I didn't hear anyone, as far as I remember, comment on that. And oh wait, no, Derek did a little bit. It was kind of different, but he said even Derek made the comment to not confuse stiff and rigid with strength and strong. Yeah, that she was being so stiff and rigid that was in her efforts of doing that, she's trying to come off as strong. But yeah, it just looked a little awkward. And so definitely something that I think that she'll be able to apply. And she's always been excellent at that. Every week she gets a correction and she applies it. So I'm very excited to see how she does next week with that. But overall, very impressive dance for them. Last was Jordan and Ezra. Absolutely their best dance. And I say that I feel like every week they are so impressive, and their storytelling, and Ezra is honestly like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Like, he's fought through some kind of crazy stuff, but he is having the most golden rock star season with Jordan, and I absolutely love it. With their dance, the greatest storytelling, the funniest little bit of, there's this one part where she turns in and he holds her finger to represent the holding space meme. So funny. It was so good. So good. She is just insane when it comes to regarding her improvements week to week. So impressive. She is just so good week by week. She just gets a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable. It's so great. Okay. The one thing though that made me LOL, which I haven't seen anyone comment on yet, was John, obviously the director, the guest judge, looked so annoyed when Bruno, at the end of their dance, he had these fake flowers and he threw them at him. And it was kind of like in John's space bubble. And he looked so annoyed, but it was so quick. And like, unless you're looking for it, you probably won't see it. But oh my gosh, I had to replay it like 5 times because like, well, he's not coming back ever again. And he just looked so irritated at Bruno. I was like, guy, you are doing too much. Like, calm down, bring it down. Like, anyway, I thought that was so funny. As for, let's see. Oh, so then, okay, this is the part that I thought happened, the cutting off. Maybe Derek didn't get cut off. I swear he did earlier with Jen, but he did get cut off by Carrie Ann because Derek said that more emotion was necessary, and Carrie Ann was like, no, you're wrong. Which I think what is so disrespectful. Like, let the judges do their judge thing. Like, a lot of people have commented recently that Derek is giving a wannabe Len Goodman approach now because they need a stricter judge, which I think Kim, once again, should be brought back and do that full time because she's doing fantastic. She was last week, 1 week. I just want her back, and she did so well with that. So I don't think she'd be like strict like Len was, but she definitely called it how it was, and that's why we need her. So let's do it. As for the very end, there was something that was said by Julianne Hough, and I don't know what it is. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to unfurl or find out what it was said, because the audio was cut out from the broadcast during something that she said at the very end. I don't remember if it was before the elimination. I think it was after the elimination. I think maybe, or maybe it was after being a score being run. I don't know. But there's one part, if you go back and listen to it, it's cut out and it's intentional. It's so intentional. Anyway, I don't know what it is. If you know, tell me. The last thing that made me laugh was the Jordan and Ezra, when they get called through for the elimination, Jordan picks up Ezra, because the previous week that caused all the drama was that Ezra picked up Jordan, and she's like, no, put me down. And it was this whole thing that she had an attitude, blah, blah, blah. People were like, no, it's because she's short. She doesn't want to be treated like a little kid. Like, she just want to be put down. They flipped it. And Jordan picked up Ezra, and Ezra so loudly said, you can put me down now. Like, so funny. They are a hoot and a half. No matter how far they get into this competition, they are hilarious. And I hope they keep them around for that reason alone. They are so funny week after week. But that is it for Wicked Night. It was so fun. I hope they do more nights like this. It always makes me cringe when they do like the hair metal nights and stuff like that, because no one asked for it. Or I don't mind like the Motown nights, but they're just kind of overdone. So I love these like super unique things that are so like soul focused. And obviously Wicked's iconic. Like, they had to be there kind of thing. No, but they're so iconic, and I hope that they keep with these kind of themes. But as for next week, this week have the Halloween night. I don't know what it's called, Monster Mash. I don't know. But the one thing that I do believe people were saying that they're going to do a dance-a-thon, which usually it's kind of like who can last the longest before they pass out of a tiredness, pretty much. And I think that Jordan will definitely have a leg up there because she's super obviously athletic, and that's totally like the athleticism for a gymnast. So I'll be very intrigued how that plays out, but I will report back next week. I hope you all will come back and join me. Hit subscribe if you will, and give this video a like, or if you're listening on audio, follow, subscribe, all the things, share with a friend, and I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll be back with some more Dancing with the Stars next time. Bye!